Welcome to the Meta Minute. This is a show which is a very condensed, hopefully less than 10 minutes version of the meta, specifically after the first week of the season, looking at teams and units and datacrons. So this is for GAC season 39. I'm particularly focusing on defensive teams for this particular minute because in the meta right now, there's not really any one overpowering team that the whole sort of map seems to be played around. It's primarily about your choice of counters. And there are a lot of very strong defensive teams, but in every single situation, except, well, no, really, the only team that doesn't have a reliable always counter that isn't a mirror is Ray. Um, Ray, Ben, Cal is the best team currently right now, and it's sort of the map doesn't really revolve around this team though, because you can mirror it pretty easily, or not mirror with the exact same team, but like Ray, Ben, Hermit Yoda, or something like that is a pretty easy, reliable win. Takes your Ray off the board, which is a good and bad thing. Bad because it takes the chance for your opponent to fail away, because it's very common to get a hold there. Or good because it gives you a potential win. So it's sort of a wash. Either your opponent has to do it against yours and they don't have Ray on their defense, so their whole board is really easily one-shottable, or they use their Ray on defense and you both have to fight the same thing. I mean, I sort of a wash one way. Like, there's no real advantage. I like putting it on defense, just hope you play better or plan to play better than your opponent. Anyway, we're wasting so much valuable time when we should be talking about the notes that I made. And playing in the background here, JJ's production. He is, I think, a Kyber 3 player, mostly due to roster size, like just what he has available stuff to compete at a higher level. But he does pretty good, and it's very interesting counters that he uses. One thing that's nice about people that are rosters that are lower in Kyber is they rarely have datacrons, so you can get some good, valuable footage of great teams just without datacrons, so they're useful over a longer period of time. Anyway, again, what I said here, this is mostly looking at defensive teams. All the data is available now on GG, of course, with GAC Insight if you have access to that, which is pretty awesome. So, Treya versus Third Sister Riva. The Triumvirate versus Riva plus anything is 50% to 80 something percent. So workable, but sort of sketchy. Really depends on relics, gear levels, etc. If you add Savage in there, against almost everything, it's 100%. The best Riva team on defense now is Grand Inquisitor and Seventh Sister. Even against Savage, Treya Savage DN, it's 90% or something. But Savage really makes everything much easier in most situations. As I mentioned before, Ray, Ben, Cal is the best Ray team right now, but there's a lot of other really good ones. Ray, Zori, Ben is pretty good, although Zori often goes best in a Finn team on defense. Still complicated. The best team against the Ray or against the Finn, Zori, something is Starkiller. By far, Starkiller is the best counter, nearly 100%. Pretty reliable, but it takes away Starkiller, then you have to find something to use against gas. Anyway, there's ups and downs there. Seer is quite good on defense. There's not a lot of footage around her, or data around her, because she wasn't placed on defense a ton, which makes sense. She's a brand new character, so mostly whales have access to her, or people who spent for her, whether they spent all at once or they got her through the crystals. Quite a good character, lots of potential for holds with her team, and so many options for the second and third. So many options. Very, very interesting setup there. And take a look, like many of them are counterable by Bad Batch, but Bad Batch offensively is a fantastic team in threes. They do a lot of work against new teams. So be careful where you use your Bad Batch, because depending on what's in the back wall, it may save you something. Better to take a 53, 54, 55 in the front wall and save Bad Batch for like sort of a hard counter against a tough team in the back wall, I think. So, Jabba. This whole meta is sort of about Rey and Jabba, in my opinion. You can throw in Lord Vader a little bit there because it's a question of where you want to use SLK. Because Jabba is easily beatable by SLK, many different varieties, and JMK. Like, very hard to lose with those two teams. Unless you save your leap with Cat, you can lose if you save your leap with Cat and don't go for Kyrgyzstan first. But generally, JMK and SLK will take out Jabba. If they do take out Jabba, and you have Rey in the back, it's going to be a Rey mirror or probably JMK. So you probably use SLK against Jabba. It means if Lord Vader's in the back, you have to use a non-SLK team, which can be complicated. So that's an interesting sort of set there with the GLs. But otherwise, Lord Vader's not super impressive. Not super great on offense against Rey or Jabba. Against many other teams, fantastic. An excellent Rey cleanup team. You get down Cal, for instance, with JMK, which is pretty easy. But putting him on defense, he's also vulnerable, depending on the comp you use, to the regular Fennec, Grief. It's probably the most common if Mala's in there. But that's sort of how the meta plays at a GL level. All of the other non-GL teams, including all of the new ones, are very, very beatable by at least 2 or 3 teams that are not GLs or pseudo GLs, like not including Starkiller or Malgus. There's a lot of teams that beat the other teams. So just choose carefully what you're going to play and spend a few minutes, spend 30 seconds looking at GG now that we have the data. Obviously much different in the first week. Afra on defense is actually fantastic still. There's not a lot of teams that beat her on one-shots, like over 70-80%. So the only one that really does well is CLS and Chewie. CLS, C3PO, Chewpio is good, but it's only like 87%, which is still pretty good, but very much like in that what datacron do you have territory. So Han Chew plus something is great. Dash is excellent. CLS is better, but Dash is very good. Bam is okay. Again, it's all about the datacron. If they have like a lot of armor on Afra, you have to hope for a lot of critical damage with one of the new set A DCs. Anyway, interesting. Trench is very, very interesting. Newt and Django seem to be the best 2nd and 3rd and 3s for Trench on defense. On offense, Trench is incredibly variable. There's so many setups you can use with him, and so many setups that you can place with him on defense. It's hard to say in general. He's quite good in 3s, mostly because he's unknown, but also because there's so far no cheese counters, which is nice. Offensively, he takes out CLS, Chewpio, and C3PO with Newt or Dooku and Watt, which is nice, like 100%. Not a ton of fights, like 20 between the various comps, but pretty good. 90 seconds to do datacrons. Oh my. Let's summarize very carefully and very succinctly. There's a lot of, oh my god, 100% damage at the level 6 one, mostly for unaligned Force users. It's great for SLK when he goes into ult. It's great for JMK teams. I mean, when you have Cat there. That's about it. Not very special. Otherwise, it's like a first turn thing, and first turn doesn't really matter. I would say one of the best combinations is this one, where you get 5% offense at the beginning of your turn whenever you have a buff, and the level 6 that gives you offense up and defense penetration up. You're basically guaranteed on all your characters to gain 5% offense over time. Pretty good. Easy to fulfill. Dark side, light side. What's not to like? That same 5% offense with Savage getting so many buffs. I'm a big fan. I mean, yes, it takes a while to stack up. Probably better if you have like a crit damage stat or something like that. But still, for somebody who takes so many turns, pretty cool. This in 5v5s, I know this is not 5v5, but all the buffs that Ewok give for the whole team and all the turns they take with Wicket, like going bing, 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 and turn meter and everything. It's very cool. Makes me excited, but anyway. The 100% damage for B1 and Django are great because Django gets 2 turns sort of it for free, and B1 always has it. That's pretty handy. The Season 7 stats are pretty awesome in threes. Definitely, this is a defensive heavy meta in 3D3. The offensive stats slash mostly stats in set 8 are primarily, they're more amplified in 5s, let's say that. And the abilities are definitely more powerful in 5s. They're good in 3s, but there's nothing like, there's no like Afra or Hondo equivalents in set 8. In terms of set 8, health steal is fantastic for some comps, but the best stat overall for sure is crit damage. That's amazing. I made it to 11 minutes. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Sorry it was so long. Good luck when your preparations and play in the other 2 weeks. See you in a couple weeks. Cheers.